Live. Took me a second. Welcome, everyone. It's Wednesday and it's 11 o'clock, and that means it's time for Elevenses with the reps at Diesel Bookstore. If you're joining us for the first time, um, every Wednesday we get together here in our little space and we meet with our wonderful publishers representatives and our booksellers. And we talk about all of the recently released or upcoming or um, in the future, now on sale today, books that we're very excited about or that are coming up and our reps want you to know about and get you very excited. And I will say every Wednesday I finish off Elevenses wanting to buy every single book that these wonderful people talk about because they're just genius at it. But also the books are great. And we do have three very wonderful reps to tell you about all of the new and great books that are coming up. And I'm going to introduce them in just a second. But before I do that, I want to let you know what's happening this week in the actual bookstore, in Diesel Bookstore. And what we have coming up here is tonight we have Julie Peva, and she is reading and signing Lucky Penny. That's tonight, September 10th at 6:30 p.m. And that'll be Julie Peva reading and signing a very sweet little book, Lucky Penny. All right. And then coming up on Tuesday, next Tuesday, September 16th at 6:30 p.m., we are welcoming Dr. Zelana Montmini, and she will be at the store discussing and signing Finding Focus, Own Your Attention in an Age of Distraction. That's 6:30 on Tuesday. Seating is limited. So if you want to reserve your seat and buy a book at the same time and have it all ready and waiting for you, we have a link which we'll post there in the chat, and you can go ahead and click on that and reserve your seat. And I should mention, oh, there we go. There's a nice little bar there. You can click on that and see all of our upcoming events into the future, not just the next week. Perfect. And I should also mention that all of the books we talk about today are linked in the chat over there. And so you can click on them at your leisure, now or later. If you can't wait, I understand. Absolutely. And just get your copy from Diesel. All right, let me introduce everybody today so that we can get started and talk about what's really important here, which is books. Lots of them. All right. Joining us today from the car, because she is a road warrior, is Julia Callahan from Hachette. And we also have Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books, our returning champion, probably going to make us hungry at some point today. And batting cleanup, we have Will Gawronski from Columbia University Press Consortium. And behind the scenes, I just want everybody to know, even though you don't see him, we've got Joey, who's posting all the links and producing stuff and just generally being extremely helpful when I forget stuff. All right, let's go. Julia, lead us off.
Okay, well, Dave might make us hungry later. I'm gonna make us thirsty for what my grandmother would deem a post 5 o'clock drink, because one mustn't start drinking until 5 o'clock, but the only thing that counts as drinking is liquids that are brown. And so shout out to my grandma. So I'm going to start with the Whiskey Bible, a complete guide to the world's greatest spirit. And this is part of a series. We have the Wine Bible and the Beer Bible, and now we have the Whiskey Bible. Now, I am a person who has a t-shirt completing the full Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I have been to many distilleries in Ireland as well. I am a whiskey enthusiast, you might say, and I wholeheartedly endorse this book. It has all of the information you could ever want to know about the history of whiskey, about the best distillers, about what they're doing now, about where barrels are charred in the Kentucky hills. Anything you could possibly want to know about whiskey is here in the Whiskey Bible. And what I love is it's all kinds of whiskey. It's got Canadian whiskey, it's got rye, it's got Scotch, it's got bourbon, it's got Irish whiskey, Japanese whiskey. It will tell you what the differences are. It will tell you how to pick out good whiskeys. It is it's a thick daddy of a book, and it is one that I think if you yourself are a whiskey enthusiast, you should buy it for yourself. If you know someone who is a whiskey enthusiast, we are rapidly approaching a big gift giving season, and this is a great gift to get for someone. So the Whiskey Bible.
And I'm going to start saying any second now that September is the new December or whatever. And we'll be banging that drum shortly, as soon as we get through spooky season.
Spooky season.
That's right. Look, I will read any book about whiskey that Julia recommends, because Julia really knows her stuff when it comes to whiskey. You had another one. Was it
Bourbon?
Bourbon? Yeah.
Bourbon Land, yeah, which was a cookbook and
which was amazing. I love that book. And then perhaps Joey can find that quickly while I'm finishing talking about it and post the link, because that's a great book too. And I gave that as gifts. And this is just, look, everybody knows somebody who is a whiskey enthusiast, even if you aren't yourself. So these books are fantastic. The beer one is great, and beer and wine one is yeah, we always do really well with these because they're just great, and they're kind of fun reading at the same time, actually.
And you don't have to read it cover to cover. You can just kind of
right.
like read a little bit and then leave it, and like read a little bit and then leave it. Yeah. It's nice.
Right, exactly. So just all around, even if you're not like a full whiskey geek, this is a lot of fun just to take a look at and work your way through it. So, and thank you for the link to Bourbon Land, which is over there, which is also a fantastic book of Julia's. So thank you, Julia. Dave?
All right. Thanks, Deborah, and thanks, Diesel, for having me today. I'm going to start off with the amazing Instant Ramen Kitchen, which hits shelves on September 1st. Deborah is nodding knowingly. You know of the deliciousness encased in this book. 40-plus delicious recipes that we like to say go beyond the packet. Instant ramen is utterly ubiquitous, something that anybody can make. If you can reach a pot, and you can turn a knob on a burner and get water into a pot, you can make instant ramen. And you can tear a sachet packet, seasoning packet open, and noodles and all that stuff. You can make it. Those are just springboards to improvising in the kitchen. And Peter Kim is a co-founder of the Museum of Food and Drink in New York City. So he brings this sort of scientific approach to looking at what a basic bowl of ramen is. You make it with the packet, and then there's ways to spin it out, infinite ways to spin it out. We can only fit so many in this compact little cookbook. But he looks at flavor profiles. He gives it this really interesting kind of visual approach. I'll get to that in a minute. But first, he walks you through brands of ramen packets that we see every time we go to the market. Korean style, classic ramen style, saucy Korean style, and then talks about each brand, what the noodle consistency is like, what the kind of flavor bases are. And then he spins it out. This is like the dynamic centerpiece of the book, into this incredible flavor wheel where you pick what flavors you want to hit, what you can mix together. Do I want to do savory plus aromatic plus vegetal? Do I want to make salty plus fiery plus a little sweet maybe? And then tells you all these kind of base ingredients that you should have in your pantry, or you can easily source here in Southern and or Northern California, wherever you have an Asian market nearby. And then just create these incredibly layered, intricate bowls of flavor. I'll walk you through some of the recipes real quick here. You can do a tomato and pepper stew, shashuka ramen with an egg in it. I love a shashuka for breakfast or brunch. There's a mafe ramen, which is a West African peanut stew. And then what's cool is that he tells you in these little keys up here which kind of basic ramen to buy, and you just prepare it according to the package directions, and then you improvise and riff on top of the recipes with all these suggestions. Coconut chicken ramen, I think, looks really, really good with the coconut milk. And then this is amazing too. BEC ramen, bacon, egg, and cheese. So taking the classic flavors of a classic bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich and turning it into a big, satisfying, smoky, meaty bowl of ramen. The writing is really fun. He talks a lot about when he grew up, that the first time he ever learned that you could go off recipe was while making ramen with his mother in the kitchen. And then as a kid and a teenager, he got obsessed with tricking out his ramen and doing different things. He says he rarely ever makes just a straight bowl of instant ramen with the flavoring packet and the vegetables. He always adds something different and tries to tweak the flavor. So totally cheap, really fast, endlessly versatile, and something that, again, we can all make, and we can all make better and more complex. So it's just a very fun and playful, colorful cookbook, Instant Ramen Kitchen, out in stores now, including yours.
I think, look, everyone eats ramen, and it's gotten kind of a bad rap because it's, not by itself, and then usually where it's presented with all kinds of additives and bad things that nobody wants to eat, and trans fats and whatever. But this is a really great way of making ramen work for you. You still get the comfort of ramen, the ease of ramen, the cheapness. I don't want to say cheap because that's like negative connotation, but not expensive.
Yes.
Right? And let's face it, food is expensive right now. And so if we can find a way of sort of stretching $1 and still eating our comfort food and feeling good about it, I mean,
Hey.
What else can you? Yeah, exactly. Look, nobody doesn't love ramen. So I love I love these single ingredient cookbooks. I think it's great to just really drill down and find new ways of preparing things that we're so used to. So I love all your books, you know that. But this is great, and also will make a great gift for the reluctant cook who really just wants to open a packet and be done with it, and get people excited about cooking for themselves. Yeah.
And he looks at these recipes as templates that once you learn how to make the base thing, then you're welcome to just follow your impulses and what you like. So he's like, these are not to be followed to the T. Once you get what you like, start to tweak it and play with it. And I think that ramen is instantly versatile and also forgiving to other flavors being added in. It's really a dynamic thing that doesn't get the credit that it.
And that's how some of the best recipes are. That's how they're, that's how people come to them. How great chefs come to them, by fooling around with that kind of stuff. So
it's fun.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. All right. Will is going to talk about my other favorite thing, other than Dave's cookbooks and then Julia's whiskey. Will's going to talk about California.
I was like, what's your other favorite thing?
Wait, what am I doing?
So yesterday, I just realized was the 175th birthday of California as a state. And so I thought, hey, I've got some books I could talk about that are kind of all about California. So that's what I'm going to do today. Happy to be here. So my first book is from Stanford University Press, Dear California, which is out in paperback now. This came out in May or June, so it's been out for a little bit. Subtitle is The Golden State. Oh, well, here you can see it. The Golden State in Diaries and Letters. It's edited by David Kippen, who's really wonderful. And of course, you might remember he did Dear Los Angeles years ago. So this is a big fat book, and it is day by day. It goes throughout the year with excerpts from people's diaries or letters or speeches, and sometimes things that they wrote specifically for this book on a certain day, and sent to David Kippen. About their reflections on being in California. So it kind of looks like this, when you go through it, it's got like individual date entries. So you can look up a specific day and just see what people had to say. And the historical stuff is incredibly interesting. There's everybody that you can think of, from, F. Scott Fitzgerald to John Muir to Willa Cather to Octavia Butler and Joan Didion and, people that you don't necessarily affiliate with California who just kind of pass through, like John Gielgud is in here in a few points, and Vanessa Redgrave, and many British writers who just spent time here at one point, or screenwriters. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book to have, and a great book to just kind of pull off the shelf and open up on a specific day and just see what kind of inspirational thing might be in there. So I thought I would read, since today is September 10th, I looked to see if there was something for fun for today, and I found one that I thought might be fitting. It has a Don Quixote reference, which I know Deborah loves.
I do.
So here you go. So on this day in 1973, Harvey Milk, who had just been elected to office, gave a speech, and this is partially what he said. So I'm asking you to take a chance and ride with me against the windmills and against the dragons too, to make the quality of life in San Francisco what it should be, to help our city set an example, to set the style, to show the rest of the country what a city really can be, to prove that Miami's vote was a step backwards and that San Francisco's was 2 steps forward. Yesterday, my esteemed colleague on the board said that we cannot live on hope alone. I know that, but I strongly feel the important thing is that we cannot live. I know that, but I strongly feel the important thing is not that we cannot live on hope alone, but that life is not worth living without hope. If the story of Don Quixote means anything, it means that the spirit of life is just as important as its substance. So there you go, some inspiration for the day. Wonderful. There's another piece by Frank Gehry that's about Los Angeles, but I won't read that because it's a little long. But it's just a really great, wonderful book. So if you are from California, love your California stuff, if you have a friend who's visiting and they want a nice memory of the state, check it out.
This is a great book. Thank you so much for reading that excerpt. That's a great excerpt too. I love this kind of thing, epistolary collections, and I love California. So I mean, for me, it's I remember this book in hardcover and really liking it in hardcover, and we did really well with it in hardcover. It had quite a long life, so it's nice to see it in paperback now. It is a really nice thick book. You get a lot of bang for your buck there, and any book that delves into California and looks at California, and I do love California, and I am proud and relieved to live here at the moment. So I think it'll do really well in paperback as well. It's a really fun, really fun book. So thank you, Will.
Sure.
All right, Julia, your next book.
All right. So my next book, it's out. It came out on September 2nd, right after Labor Day. This is Nathaniel Harris's follow-up to The Sweetness of Water, not a sequel, but his next book after The Sweetness of Water, which is called Amity. This is, well, The Sweetness of Water was an Oprah pick. It was a huge book. People absolutely loved that book. And Amity follows some of the same themes, but this is like a historical fiction, and it is also somehow a road trip novel. It is about, you see the road trip in question as a wagon, a pulled wagon, but it follows a brother and sister who have been emancipated from slavery after the Civil War, but who are, they're sort of tenuous. You know, the freedom was somewhat tenuous, particularly directly after the Civil War. And their former master and enslaver sort of is coming after them. And so they decide to take off, and they go from Louisiana into Mexico. And so it is the story of this brother and sister escaping slavery, running from their this sort of totally crazy enslaver, and also is the story of sort of the promise of American freedom and sometimes the failure on that promise. And so it's a beautiful novel. If you like The Sweetness of Water, you'll definitely like this one. If you haven't read The Sweetness of Water, Nathan Harris's sorry, I called him Nathaniel. Nathan Harris's writing is so lush and beautiful and just like pulls you in, and you kind of can't put these books down. So I highly recommend it. Also, I really like, this is one of my favorite covers of the season. I know that doesn't count for much, but I do think it's a great cover. But yeah, this is Amity by Nathan Harris. I think you all will really like it. It's a gorgeous novel.
I think the cover counts for quite a lot, Julia. We and it does for readers too. When something pulls you in, I mean, that's why there's so much time spent on debating what's going to be a good cover. And you know, I know we're not supposed to judge, but you know, that's what gets you to pick it up, and then that first paragraph either, you know, keeps you in it. So I've been so excited about this book. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I've been really excited to see it. It's sort of been floating around, and I've been like, oh, I can't wait to read that. So I'm really really stoked that it's out in the world, and it's gonna find its readers. So who doesn't love a good like a road trip story, right?
And like a historical fiction road trip. I feel like that's so not something we normally have.
No, I mean, it's all of the things, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Julia. All right, Dave, back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, my second book today is The Podcast Pantheon. This is 101 podcasts that changed how we listen. Comes to us from Sean Malin, who is the author and host of Vulture's award-winning hit podcasting column, Start Here. And it has a foreword by actor John Hamm, big celebrity score. And what this is this fun little compact hardcover guide, quite visual, talking through 101 most legendary, influential, and inspirational podcasts in the admittedly kind of short history of podcasts. I think this is a form that we've seen really rise in the last decade plus. A lot of shows have made like amazing kind of cultural impacts. And this one just kind of gives you a real amazing overrange. We talk about shows running from true crime, comedy, and sports to finance, pop culture, sex, and relationships. There's big, really well-known podcasts in here like Serial. That was such a huge phenomenon. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, My Favorite Murder, and Office Ladies. People that kind of podcast or pioneered the form. Fresh Air, Never Not Funny, or WTF with Mark Maron, who is, I think, unfortunately ending soon or has ended. And then just like amazing musings, stories, interviews with the creators, what inspired the podcasts, where they hope to take the podcast if it's still running. And then kind of like what their influences were, especially on things like interview style. Something I learned from reading this that was amazing is that Fresh Air with Terry Gross, she has been, if I'm correct here, hosting the show since 1975. The show began on public radio in Philadelphia in the early 70s, like 73. It was called Fresh Air. She wasn't a part of it. She was brought on in 75 to take over the 2 to 5 p.m. slot. She has been doing it since then. And I think she's like a total, I don't have to say this, like master of the form and the medium. And I feel like it was one of the first things I listened to where it was like, it's a show on the radio and this incredible woman interviews people and she's super informed and she cares about what they say and she allows them to talk and lets them answer the questions, and then she riffs on them in this incredibly smart interview way. And I remember it being like a really early form of the podcast, so that she's interviewed in here, profiled. I think about the form of podcasting. I like my podcast really produced and slick, to be honest. I don't love it when they're kind of unstructured and rambling like I am right now. But I think that a podcast that's really tight with production values is really, it's like a mini movie. And it's something that a lot of us indulge in when we're not reading books. Like Elevenses, right? And I think it's also like, it's like indie film in a way. It's like it's a medium where people have risen to prominence not being part of a studio system and not being part of this kind of structure. You can make your own podcast just like a bowl of ramen, if you have a microphone and an internet connection and an idea. So it's very punk rock in that regard. And I think it's a form that's open to everybody. And these are the people that did it kind of first, best, and most enduringly. So really fun book. This will come out in stores next Tuesday, and you will be hosting Sean Malin at the Brentwood store on September 22nd to discuss and sign the book.
And we will talk about that again as we get closer to that date. Yes, we strive for all of that on Elevenses. We have both Joey and I. But that is true. It really is the indie spirit, isn't it? Podcasting. And I've read in the course of trying to make Elevenses better and thinking about other possibilities for podcasting. Dua Lipa is does an amazing book podcast. Do you guys know about that? That's an amazing, she's deep, and she really gets into it, and authors love talking to her. See, there's Joey. It is incredible. She gets big people. Anyway, my point is that you really can, there's a lot you can do, and a lot you can learn, and various podcasts, the ones you mentioned, have changed the course of things, and people, it's so old timey, back to like serialized novels that you would pick up at the wharf when they came in on the ship, after
my show is on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of appeal is absolutely enduring. And this is a really great book, a lot of fun, and I think also, again, another great gift for somebody. So thank you. Elevenses couldn't possibly be better. Okay, I appreciate that. Vote of confidence. Thank you, Dave. Great book. All right, Will.
What a great topic for a book. It's so much fun. And I was just thinking when Dave was talking about Terry Gross, how sometimes if you listen to Fresh Air, she'll run an old interview that she did in like 1987 with somebody. And I always think like she sounds like a child when you hear like her older voice. Like she talks much faster and her voice is like several octaves higher or something. You're just like, how long has she been on? Like, it's just.
I mean, I had no idea. 75. That's crazy. So that's 50 years she's been doing this. Wow.
And she's one of those kind of ageless people, even when you see a picture of her, you're like, I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So very cool. So my second California book, new from University of California Press, is the California Naturalist Handbook in a new edition, which I'm very excited to have a finished copy of. They sent me these things for Calibas next week, so I've got some actual finished stuff here. So this was a book that came out about 12 years ago in its original edition. So the new edition has a lot of updates, a lot of stuff about climate, some new images, new materials to the book. This is kind of everything you want to know about the state of California and its natural history. It goes through geology, it goes through the history of water in California, all of the insects and plants and animals, not all, but like a whole variety of stuff throughout. It's packed with information. There's all kinds of great things in here and wonderful photographs. Like here's a picture of that majestic and terrifying California condor with notes to tell you how incredibly huge its wingspans is. Here's a map I love, which you're not going to really be able to see in this little thing, but it's all of the indigenous groupings of the whole state and where they live through that. So that's really incredible. Things I didn't know about, like there's a section in here about wildfires, of course, but they talk about terrestrial fire moss, which is the green growth that comes after a wildfire, which I didn't know that actually had a name, but there it is. So just lots and lots and lots of information. Here's a map about all the different types of trees and shrubs that grow all up and down the state. So where you can find redwoods, where you can find chaparral, all of those kinds of stuff. It's just incredibly, like the other book I have, it's a great book to have if you're from California, if you're visiting, if you have friends who are coming and want a good souvenir of it. Just fantastically packed with information and a great resource. It's just coming out right now, so it'll be on the shelf soon.
New edition, you said, or
edition.
there? Yeah,
Mhm.
because I've seen a previous. I love these books. They're also wonderful to be able to recommend as a bookseller. And there's always people. You're absolutely right. Somebody who's visiting, and a lot of people visit California. Let's face it, because why wouldn't you want to? And are interested in this kind of thing, and they're hiking and they want to know, or visiting the coast, wherever. California is so diverse, and there's such a diversity of flora and fauna in this state. And so these are wonderful books. I love the other edition, and I recommended it all the time, and people really snapped it up. It's a fantastic book for yourself, or again, there are people in your life who would love this kind of book as well. So
Yes,
thank you, Will.
sure.
So Julia, you want to start our lightning round with your
Okay.
today? I mean, it's not really a lightning round, but I like to call it.
A final round, the final
Yeah.
countdown.
Yeah.
So my last book is a personal favorite. This is, if you are a baseball fan, this is the book for you. It's called Make Me Commissioner by Jane Levy. The subtitle is I Know What's Wrong with Baseball and How to Fix It. So Jane Levy is one of the best writers on baseball that we have today. She wrote a wonderful bio of Sandy Koufax. So if you're a Dodger fan, she has your interests at heart. But what's so great, so I'm a huge baseball fan. I am a San Francisco Giants fan, don't kill me. But I so of course when I saw this book come up, I was like, I must read this immediately and make sure that I agree with everything she says. And I'm happy to report I love this book and I do agree with everything she says. And basically the argument that Jane Levy is making is that the era of cybermetrics has really made baseball less fun to watch. And because these guys now go to these camps during the winter where they get measured on how fast the torque of their body moves when they hit the ball, and teams take or don't take players based on these measurements, like that you lose all the fun. You lose these guys who have bad swings but still hit for the fences. You lose these guys who are able to get on base, who do it with this verve and personality, and when you don't take that into account, it's much less fun to watch this sport. And so she really makes an argument. I mean, in a lot of ways, she sort of takes down where Major League Baseball as an organization is right now, but also has a lot of here's how you fix it and make it more fun, like the baseball we used to watch when we were younger. And so this is, I think, if you're a baseball fan, it's a must read. If you have a baseball fan in your life, it is definitely a great something to bring to them. But also, I think if you're interested in sort of how, because we have so much data now on every single aspect of our lives, how that oftentimes sucks the fun out of things that used to be very fun. So I think even if you don't really have anything to say about baseball or care about baseball, there's a sort of metaphor here for the rest of life that gets overtaken by data and data analysis. And so this is a great book. I really highly recommend it.
What a great review you just gave, Julia.
Thank you.
I started thinking about so many things when you were talking about it, because baseball's always been, has been a big deal in my family. My dad was a Dodger fan when the Dodgers were still in Brooklyn. So
Mm-hmm.
here
Yep.
we go. Met fans from way back,
Yep.
anyway. And my dad owned a baseball school for a while where the
Oh.
kids come in and you teach the kids to hit and throw, and batting cages and all that stuff. So, and it's true, there is a huge element of that, the fun of it, the let's go to the game, let's watch the game, let's play the game, those kind of exciting moments. Because let's face it, I mean, baseball, there's a lot of slow periods in the middle where nothing is happening, kind of a thing, and it's like balls and strikes, right? So and we've filled that all in with statistics and metrics at this point, right?
Yep.
Because everybody's got such a limited attention span. You've got to have like information at every moment, and this is what has happened. This is what has occurred through all of this. But I haven't seen or heard of it broken down like this, or also have suggestions offered for how to sort of recapture that fun of it, the genuine feeling of it and excitement and that kind of thing. So this, of course, is a great book for any baseball fan, and they're out there. Year one, right? Yeah. Thank you for that, Julia.
Sure thing.
Excited about that one. Yeah. All right, Dave, what's your last book of the day?
Okay, last book of the day, a change of pace a bit. This is the Guerrilla Art Guide. This comes to us from Carrie Smith, who you may know as the author of the incredible mega bestseller, Wreck This Journal. And this book is to inspire people to create their own artwork, express themselves artistically in very easy, very hands-on, and very DIY ways, and then how to get that work out into the world by putting it in a public space. Now, this is a tricky place because, as she says in the introduction, I do not advocate you spray painting on buildings. I do not think that you should deface public property, but there are ways to put art out publicly in the world and respect space. And that's kind of for the reader of the book to make their own decisions around that. But these are really fun art projects. Things like make 30 origami cranes and hang them in a tree. You can do knitted things that fit onto poles. I think we've all seen that crocheting type of tagging where it's a fabric thing. Some of these projects take longer than others. Some literally are as simple as ideas to create quick stickers and how to get them out in the world with your slogans on them. Creating little tiny inspirational notes and notices. Like this is great, bringing mindfulness to people. These all look like little tiny typewritten things. Notice the sound your feet make on the pavement. Notice the crooked tree to your right. Notice your inhalation and exhalation. And you print it on a little tiny card and you put it in a place in public where somebody finds it and it affects them. It's your expression and it affects them. And it's in this really immediate way. She gets more complicated here with step-by-step drawn diagrams on creating wheat paste to affix posters to things, how to create monoprints, how to use freezer paper to create a stencil, which is like a one-sided wax paper, very thick, ways to cut it out. She even, in the back of the book, this is pretty cool, gives you scannable templates for lettering, which can then be like blown up and printed onto a variety of mediums, different shapes that you can use. The way I sold this all season to people, and I know this is just a sliver of what the book is intending, but I think we're at a time where there is more damn stuff going on in the world to protest than ever before. And it feels good to get out with a group of people, and it feels good to make yourself heard artistically, to make a sign, to congregate, and to express yourself. It's something we all need to do right now. And the ways we all can fight back is by being public with our expression and our feelings about what's going on and the injustices that we're seeing. These are creative and fun and DIY ways to put that message out into the world. I took this as a political book and as a book as a call to action in a very playful and kind of fun way. But, you know, you can do something surreal with street art or public art. You can do something wacky. You can do something irreverent or even just like a silly pop culture thing, which is fun. The fact is, or the idea is to get it out into the world and make it happen. So it's a very inspirational book. She brings that energy from Wreck This Journal to this book, telling you that you can do it yourself, ways to do it yourself. The book looks like it's bound in electrical tape. So it's got this total chunky, fun DIY feeling. It does, I think, because of the illustrations and the kind of whimsicalness of it, skew towards feeling like maybe it's for a YA or a teen reader. It's on our adult list. It's not written for kids, but I think there's absolutely things that you can do with children in here, things you can do with teens. So I've been telling my stores to kind of keep this in both maybe like a YA art section or crafts for kids, as well as an adult section. I just love this book. It's really inspirational and it has a great vibe and energy to it. This came out on September 2nd and it's a 1999 paperback, The Guerrilla Art Guide from Carrie Smith.
Be your own Banksy. I love it. Have you seen some of the signs? And it is such a expression of your own creativity and self, as well as your statement and how you are feeling about things and what you are talking about and what you want known. Some of the signs that I have seen lately, or that pop up in places, every day there's something happening, are just wildly creative, and get a point across in a humorous way or very artistic way. I love this book too. I think this is just an absolutely fantastic book. I'm just looking at it as you're going through it, going, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to do that."
That's the idea.
Yeah, it's just wheat paste. Yes, please sign me up. A fantastic book, creative, instructive, motivational, all of those things. This is a terrific book. Another fantastic gift, and I think maybe we'll be selling quite a few of them before October 18th, eh?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Thank you, Dave. All right, you're going to wrap it up for the day, Will. You are in last, but as Julia would say, batting cleanup here.
That's me. So my last book, tying it a little bit with Dave's, is about kind of organically created art from non-artists, sort of thing. So it's the paperback edition of Sailor Song, which is a book of sea shanties from University of Washington Press. So this is a book that University of Washington Press distributed for the British Library. They've done several of these, and they're always so beautiful. They have great illustrations throughout that are from various things that are in the collection of the British Library. Unfortunately, the hardcover of this came out like in late spring of 2020. So like right as no one was open, because it really is the kind of book that I think people need to pick up and flip through to appreciate what it's like. So now they're bringing a paperback edition. Gorgeous illustrations throughout. So it looks like, there's all kinds of things like this. I love these kind of things, like the stuff that's on the cover will give you a great sense of it. There's lots of images of the tall ships too, like from various manuscripts and drawings, which I just love. And it's very global. So it's sea shanties from around the world. They actually have the musical notes in there. So if you can read music, you can sing along or play piano or a flute or whatever you have to do it. And I can't read music, so I won't sing this for you, but I found there's a shanty in here that's about California. So tying in with my California theme, it's this one, which has this great California picture in the corner. And it is called The Banks of the Sacramento. So here's how it goes.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So the lyrics are, as I was rolling down the strand, hoda hoda, I met two girlies hand in hand, hoda hoda day. Blow, boys, blow for California. There's plenty of gold, so I've been told, on the banks of the Sacramento. I chose the one with the curly locks. She let me chase her o'er the rocks. I chased her high, I chased her low. I fell down and broke my toe. Off to the doctor I did go and showed him my big toe. In came the nurse with a mustard poultice, banged on it, but I took no notice. Now I'm well and free of pain. I'll never court flashy girls again. So, the Ballad of the Sacramento. It's just a wonderful book. So, and this is just coming out now in the paperback. So check it out and be on the lookout for it.
I have to get this for Gabe, because my husband, because he is, I don't know why he's obsessed with sea shanties, and we have lots of arguments about what is and isn't a sea shanty, like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Right.
He first said was a jam, then he called it a sea shanty, and I'm like, it's neither one of those things. But we're big on sea shanties. I mean, he is, but this is great. I love this with the music and everything. So I'm gonna pick up a copy immediately. What fun! What a great fun book. Yeah, excellent. You were gonna say something, Dave, or no? Okay, you looked like you were, but What a bunch of fantastic books today. You guys really brought it. Very exciting. Gonna purchase one like momentarily and then and then the rest. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all of these wonderful books with us. Fantastic. Julia Callahan from Hachette, Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books, and Will Gawronski from Columbia University Press Consortium. You guys are wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Joey, for being behind the scenes and posting all the links and everything. And as always, this is our little Wednesday island of sanity here, where we talk about books on Elevenses. So we look forward to it every week. We look forward to seeing you, and we will be back again next week with more books. And actually, we won't be back next week. We'll be back the week after next week, because next week is a big trade show. So we'll all be at that. But we will be back the following week, and we will have more reps with us and more books to talk about. And we hope to see you all then. In the meantime, everybody, have a great fortnight ahead. Happy reading, everyone. We'll see you soon. Thanks.